The jab is the most common punch thrown, and for good reason. It can help to control the ring, set up harder punches, keep the opponents at a distance, pile up damage over time, you name it, the jab can do it. The only thing a jab has a difficult time with, a very difficult time with, is knocking the competitor out. That requires power punches. And that's what we'll be covering today, how to counter the jab. Because even if you can't land a counter hard enough to knock your opponent out cold, repeatedly countering their jab can make them hesitant to throw it. And if they're hesitant to throw the jab, they can't use all those great aspects we talked about against you. So quick note, I'll be showing the southpaw versions of these counters, just assuming that if you're a southpaw, you can reverse what I'm saying in your head and get it to work for you. But I will be mentioning specific counters that work better for southpaws fighting orthodox or vice versa. And if you'd like to learn more about those positions and different rules, you could check out my video on southpaw angles. Let's get to it. The most common power punch to use to counter the jab is the cross. And there are a number of good ways to do this. So if one of these cross counter methods doesn't work for you, don't worry, there's probably one that better suits your style. So, the first cross tactic is the whole reason a cross is called a cross in the first place. You slip your head inside, toward the opponent's rear hand, then cross your arm over their jab to nail them by coming around their shoulder. Joe Louis was exceptional at this. This tactic became so common, all right straights can now be called crosses, the same way it's acceptable to ask for a Kleenex rather than a tissue. You'll want to intercept your opponent's punch here, meaning you throw as soon as you see them throwing and catch them coming in. If you're a southpaw or fighting a southpaw, you can still make this work in what's called a split entry counter. You move your head to the outside and then thread your cross down the middle. This was pretty much Manny Pacquiao's signature move for years. Rather than intercept, you could throw a return counter, meaning you let them jab, then attack and return a punch as they would throw out their punch. In this instance, you'll want to slip outside, towards their weak side. And this tilt or turn to your right will help load up your follow-up punch. As well as slip, you can also pull. Muhammad Ali was a total master at this, and Mayweather liked to use it while in a high guard. Parries also work well to clear a pathway, especially while in an opposite stance. The last cross counter is the most unusual, which is to get inside of the opponent's jab, usually by stepping far left. This tactic works much better to counter the opponent's lead hook since you have a wider area to attack and more time to throw. But it can be used against jabs if you're really quick and have your competitor's timing completely down. A close cousin to the cross is the overhand. And if you could land that as a counter, then your opponent will probably have some difficulty remaining on their feet. The overhand can go over the opponent's shoulder, inside their jab, or pretty much any direction you like. But it's very telegraphic and requires exceptional speed and athleticism to pull off. Think Roy Jones Jr. or Canelo level explosiveness. The next way to counter the jab is the lead hook. But unless your opponent has some really sloppy defense and slow footwork, this may require some setup. Most opponents will be pivoting away from your hook with their rear hand protecting their head as they jab. So you might want to aim for their body with a hook a few times first to get them to lower their guarding hand. Or you can use a raking downward hook that can go over or in between their guard. Or lastly, you can try what Frazier repeatedly used against Ali and slip outside to counter the jab with a hook. This requires either Frazier's head movement and timing, or an exceptional reach advantage. One last point on the hook. If you throw it hard enough times, then it won't matter if your opponent has their guard up or not. Too many times I've seen amateurs forget that you don't always need an opening in the opponent's defense to throw something. Sometimes you could just batter at their guard until you start to blast through it. So what about rear hooks? Well, we'll say that we covered that in the overhand section. But the jab does leave your opponent very open to body hooks, and for that matter, body crosses. Like the overhands though, it may be hard to counter a jab, the most high tempo punch, with a much slower tempo, high commitment punch. It's usually better to use your right body hook against the jab as a southpaw because the shorter distance to the target makes it easier. The last counter to the jab may surprise you, but if you can pull it off, it's lethal. That's right, the uppercut. And there are two great ways to do it. The first is with your lead hand, and this is specific to the opponent ducking forward into their jab. You can meet them with your left as they come up. The second way is far more difficult, and that's to use your rear hand, or if you're a southpaw, your lead hand, to cross underneath in the complete reverse of the cross method. While these are all great counters that can end the fight, never forget that the bread and butter counter to the opponent's jab is your own jab. He who controls the left can control the world. Let me know if I missed any of your favorite counters to the jab, or if you want to get more advanced, a way to defend or counter those counters. From the Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.